Hi all, it's Losty, Punch Out TV. How you all doing on this fine Sunday afternoon? I just quickly want to try and make a video on my thoughts of Joyce versus Michael Wallish from yesterday. I watched the fight last night and then I watched it again this morning. I've had a few people texting me or saying in my video what I did yesterday that Joe's slow and stuff like that. Yeah, Joe is slow, and he was bound to be even slower than normal of last night because he's not been in the ring for over a year. It's his first fight in 12 months since he beat Brian Jennings. He was carrying an extra 14 pounds than what he did when he fought Brian Jennings last year. So he was bound to be a bit slower and bound to be rusty as well. The first round for me, Joe put the pressure on as he always does, takes the fight to the fighter. He got clipped, I would say, at least 4 or 5 times off that Michael Wallish, but they just bounced off him. The signs of rustiness were there, of course they were. A very even first round for me. The second round, Joe stepped up the game, mixing his shots very well, head to body, body to head. That's one thing Joyce is very good at, is mixing his punches up. He doesn't keep to the same punches. He likes to mix them up, body and head to body, like I just said. Joe dropped him with a shot to the body. I think it was a right hand to the body. In the second round, he went down. There were signs on that Michael Wallish's face was all red and his eye was starting to become a bit of a mess. The third round, Joe stepped it up again, putting relentless pressure on him. That Michael Wallish caught him with a few other alright punches, but they just bounced off Joe. And then Joe put him down again, and then the ref waved it off, which was the right thing to do, because he was taking a beating. Now, we can all criticise Joe, saying, yeah, he's slow and stuff like that, and he was even slower. But when you've not been in the ring for 12 months, sparring and training is different to fighting in the ring. You know, obviously you spar and train to prepare yourself for the fight, but he's not been able to spar properly because of the COVID. Obviously, because of being in contact with other people. He had a very short training camp for this fight. The fight's been postponed twice. It's been postponed twice because of COVID. So it's okay that we can criticise him, but when you're not had a proper 3 or 4 month training camp for a fight, you're not physically and mentally prepared for it. You know, this was just a warm up for him. And like I say, the signs of rust were showing. But I believe that Joyce loses them 14 pounds. He has a 3 or 4 month proper training camp. Gets back with his proper trainer. That's Salas or whatever he's called, because he's not with him at the moment. Gets back with his proper trainer, a 3 or 4 month training camp, losing the weight. I think you'll see a hell of a lot of difference, Joyce. To me, like I say, I can't really comment on Daniel Dubois yet because I haven't seen him fight yet in this fight because obviously the COVID. He's fighting at the end of next month. I personally think that you'll see signs of rust in him. But Joyce is definitely, he'd have to be suicidal to not be at a comfortable weight and train for 3 or 4 months proper training camp to go and fight Daniel Dubois. If he was to not train properly and go in as heavy as he was last night, then yeah, he probably will get wiped out. But Joyce for me, like I say, I think he can beat Daniel Dubois. I still do think he can beat Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois, to me, he just doesn't cut the mustard for me like what everyone seems to think that he is. He's been fighting bums. I wouldn't say all bums, but I mean, that Japanese fella or Chinese fella who was in his last fight, he fought, that to me, he just came for a payday. He nearly got knocked out off a jab in the first round. Daniel hit him with a jab and he was wobbling all over the show. For me, Daniel Dubois is too stiff. He's very stiff. He's very flat-footed. He's got no head movement whatsoever. Fighting the likes of someone like Michael Hunter, he'd been in all kinds of trouble against someone like Michael Hunter. Someone who's fast and can move around the ring and has got fast hand speed and good combinations. I'd have to see. And for me, Daniel Dubois ain't much faster than Joe Joyce. Like I say, I'll get criticised for this, but I don't care. I'm just sticking to what I believe. I believe that a fit Joe Joyce with a proper training camp, losing the 14 pounds, fighting Daniel Dubois, he's going to be mentally and physically prepared for it. A proper training camp, lost the weight. Joe Joyce, he ain't going to lie down. He's coming to fight. And this is what makes it such a very interesting fight. Daniel's got the youth on his side. So Joe needs to jump on him from the get-go. He needs to jump on him and put pressure on him. Because I've never seen Daniel Dubois in trouble. Only the Richard Lartley fight, to me, showed he was getting caught in that fight. Richard Lartley, there was nothing wrong with him. That referee stopped that fight well too early. It was pathetic how the refs... I mean, I'm all for fighters, not getting damaged or hurt or dying in the ring, but that was pathetic. No way was Richard Lartley in any kind of trouble in that fight. And Richard Lartley was up for that fight, and he showed signs to me that he was putting Daniel Dubois in pressure, not in trouble, but he was giving as good as what he got. And that to me is what I think Joe Joyce will do. He'll put the pressure on Daniel Dubois. He's a big hitter. He's got a solid chin. Doesn't mean he can't get knocked out. He needs to keep his hands up when he's fighting Daniel Dubois, because, like I say, in that first round, he was getting clipped. But this is, to me, what makes this fight so intriguing. Me personally, like I say, I might get criticised for this. People are laughing. I've read some of the comments in the BT thing. People saying he's even slower than before and stuff like that. That was bound to show. But Joe Joyce, like I say, if he loses the weight, he's got a proper training camp, he's going to come in shape. He's not dumb. He isn't not mentally and physically prepare properly for his toughest fight of his life. So that's what I think. I think Daniel Dubois. I think Joe Joyce can beat Daniel Dubois. I really do. I still believe that he can. Like I say, I might get criticised, but that's my fault. People are sleeping on Joe Joyce. And I'm not even a massive fan of Joe Joyce. I just don't think Daniel Dubois is as good as what people are making out he is. If he blasts Joe Joyce out, yeah, fair enough. I'll come on here and I'll eat my crow. I'll eat my own words. I apologise, but at this moment in time, I still think that Joe Joyce is quite capable of beating Daniel Dubois. But anyway, that's a rant over. That's all I've got for you on this one. I'll catch you on next one. Peace.